Hi, my name is Timberlyn Bowens, and I'm an enrolled agent licensed through the Internal Revenue Service. I'm also the owner of Bowens Tax and Bookkeeping Solutions. We help direct sellers to minimize their tax liability with strategic tax planning. If you're a direct seller, you know me now, but I want to know you. So put your name down below in the comments and tell me what company you work with and what state you're in. In my last video, I shared with you a question and a statement that I hear quite frequently. The question was, can you do my business taxes? And the statement was, I'll do the personal part, I only need you to do the business. In that video, I said, if you are a single member LLC or operating as a sole proprietor, you are not required to file a separate business tax return at the federal level. However, you are required to file at least 2 additional schedules with your personal tax return. The first was Schedule C, which is to figure if you have a business profit or a loss. The second was Schedule SE, and that is for self-employment tax. Today in this video, I'll share with you what self-employment tax is. Often when I meet with somebody that is a first-year sole proprietor, they are like, what is self-employment tax and why do I have to pay it? Self-employment tax is a tax that consists of Social Security and Medicare. The rate is 15.3%, 12.4% of that being for Social Security, the other being for Medicare. Now, if you aren't familiar with the terms, Social Security is taken out to go towards helping the elderly out and the differently abled. The Medicare part is for hospital insurance. If you've ever been a W-2 earner at any time in your life, you've probably noticed that on your check stub or W-2 at the end of the year, you would see an amount that was withheld for Social Security and for Medicare. And you may even be thinking, I don't think those amounts were 15.3% of what I was earning. And you're correct, they weren't. When you're an employee of someone else, the employer pays half of that and you pay the other half. You probably also noticed that you didn't really have a say in how much they withheld. It's not like the federal taxes where you fill out a 0 or 4 when you start the job and it switches your withholding. Withholding for Social Security and Medicare isn't optional. That's why self-employed individuals are required to pay self-employment tax. Since you are now considered the employer and the employee, what the IRS does allow you to do is to deduct half of the amount that you paid on your 1040. It's called the self-employment tax deduction. Now I want to share with you who's required to pay self-employment tax. As you heard me say earlier, it's not an option. Anybody who's made net earnings of $400 or more from their business is required to pay self-employment tax. Also, if you're a church employee and you've made more than $108.28, you are required to pay self-employment tax. Sometimes when business owners are just starting out and maybe they haven't made that much, they've only made, let's say, $15,000. This is a little bit confusing for them because they think, oh, my standard deduction will take care of it. I won't really owe that much for federal. But what they're not taking into account is the self-employment tax. Because as I mentioned earlier, it's not an option. So it's something that business owners should be aware of so they can be prepared and make those payments timely and accurately. Another question I get about self-employment tax: am I required to pay it on all of my ages? I'm sorry, not all of my ages. You are required to pay it as long as you were working as a self-employed person, no matter your age. But what I meant to say was, am I required to pay it on all of my wages? Not all of my wages, all of my earnings. And really, you are required to pay it on all of your earnings and wages depending on how much you make. If you make more than $128,400, then you are no longer required to pay Social Security on those earnings that go above that level. When you reach that $128,400, the 12.4 of Social Security tax goes away, but there is the additional 0.9 of Medicare tax. Now, I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter what age you are, you will pay into Social Security and Medicare. That's another one. Sometimes people will retire from a W-2 job because they're of age, but then they go into business for themselves and they say, well, I'm too old, I shouldn't have to pay Social Security and Medicare. Well, actually, the IRS has said otherwise. No matter how old you are, if you have self-earned income, you're required to pay self-employment tax, even if you're already withdrawing Social Security. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have questions about self-employment tax or even the Schedule C, feel free to book a free discovery call with me, and I'll leave the link to my calendar down below in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.